Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I'm going to show you real quick how to make an album. This is just a 6-page album that I'm making for a family trip to Hawaii. And it's 6 by 6 pages. And then the cover is a little bit bigger than that. But you can see I already put some paper in there. And it's all ready to go. But it's nice hardcover album on all 3 sides. So it's good and sturdy and super quick to make. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, we're going to start with some cardboard. So there's 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 6.5. I told you the pages of the album are 6 by 6, so I'm going to cut this 6.5 by 6.5, so I have 1/4 of an inch on each side and 1/2 inch on the edge, just to make sure that they're good and set. And then for the spine, 6.5 by 2 inches. Then I've got a piece of white cardstock. You can use, if you don't have, this is 11 by 17 paper. So this particular piece is, let's see, I wrote it down. It's 17 by 8.5. And then I drew a center line and I drew a line at 1 inch in from each side, because this is where I'm going to put the center of my spine. And then my cardboard pages are going to go here, and I'm going to use this to wrap. If you don't have 11 by 17 paper or A3 cardstock or something, you can use multiple pieces and just sort of piece it in here and put in a seam or something. Doesn't matter. I happen to have this, so I'm going to use it. And you're basically just going to glue your cardboard in on these lines. And you start with the spine piece and put that right in the center. I like to glue with the Kalal all-purpose glue because it's nice and sturdy and it creates a good bond, but you don't want to get too much glue on there, and just kind of put a thin layer. This bottle's kind of big, so it makes it a little bit harder, but you're just going to center it up on that center line, wiggle it into place, and make sure it's straight on those other 2 lines. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're just going to wrap it. And the nice thing about this glue is if it squidges out, you just rub it right away. Okay, and then you're going to put your other 2 pieces next to it. Now you don't want to put it right up against it, because as these bend, you need a little bit of room for that to bend up. So if you're going to, your album cover is going to go like this. So if you think about it coming up like that, you got to have enough room for this to bend up. So leave yourself a little bit of room and just glue 1 on each side. Again, following those lines so that it's nice and straight. I usually leave myself about that much space. That's about maybe an 1/8 to a 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, somewhere in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to give yourself enough room so that that cover will bend up without binding and ripping the cardstock. And again, follow that line here so that you're nice and straight. Once you've got those 3 pieces glued onto your outside cover, now we're going to wrap this around And you just want to kind of pull it up and crease it on each of the sides. And then to make these corners, you're just going to trim out a little wedge up to the corner. Let's see if I can show you that. So just like this. So trim each corner, so just right almost up to the corner, but not quite there. And then on this side, same thing. And just do that on all 4 sides. And then we're gonna glue these pieces on over. And I like to use the tacky glue for this just because it grabs quickly. So I'm gonna start with the long pieces. Just put a little bit of tacky glue right along the edge. Just fold it over and hold it while it grabs. And the tacky glue will usually grab pretty quickly, so you don't have to hold it too long, but you just want to make sure that's good and tight as you wrap it around. And then spin it around and do the other side, and we're going to do all 4 sides. And because you trimmed those corners, it makes nice, fairly neat corners on the end, as you can see. All right, and then we want to cover this inside piece before we put anything on. So I just have a sheet of plain white cardstock. You can put this on before you fold it over or after, it doesn't really matter. But you just want to cover up that center piece of cardstock, or the center cardboard. And this is the same width as the cardboard, so it's 2 inches wide, but it's just 1/4 of an inch shorter so that it's not hanging over the edge. Just a little tacky glue on that. And you do this because you're going to put the spine piece on there, but it's not going to cover that full 2 inches, and you don't want it to, you don't want to be, you know, seeing the brown cardboard. So you just want to cover it up to make it look a little prettier. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing to cover this cardboard, and we've just got 2 sheets of white paper. These are 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and I'm just gonna again cover up that cardboard, and that just cleans up that inside of the cover. Set that aside. Now to make your spine, you need a piece of cardstock that's 6 inches by 7 1/4. And then I've already scored and folded this, but I'll tell you, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 3. So basically 1/2 inch, and then 1/4 inch, and then 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch, all the way across. And you can make this as many pages as you want. Mine, to create 6 inside pages, is 7 1/4 inches this way. That'll give you exactly enough space to do 6 pages. If you wanted to make it 7 pages, add another 1 1/4 inch, because you'd need 1/4 inch and a half. So every page is essentially 1 1/4 inch. So however many pages you want. If you make it wider, then of course remember on your cover you got to make your spine wider. And then you're going to fold mountain, valley, valley, mountain, valley, valley, mountain, all the way across. And it's going to look like that. Then I like to use red liner tape to put my spine together. And you're going to put red liner tape in between each of the 1/2 inch sections. So you're going to glue the 1/2 inch sections together, leaving the 1/4 inches sections alone. So just go and add red liner tape or whatever your adhesive of choice is. The thing that's good about red liner tape is it grabs immediately. If you use a wet glue, then you need to either hold these pieces together until they dry or put clips on them or something. And this red liner tape is actually exactly 1/2 inch, so I'm trying to get it right on there. You can use a narrower tape and then put a wet glue on top of the tape if you want. I've done that before too, and the tape kind of holds it, and then the wet glue soaks in and makes it a really strong bond, but this works. Get that tape burnished down really good. Oops. And then you're going to stick those 1/2 inch sections together. And as you fold these back, you want to make sure that these edges are straight. That'll keep your pages straight. If this gets a little wonky, then your pages in your book, in your album, are going to be wonky. Oops. Stabbed myself. And once you get that all together, it's just going to look like that, with those 1/4 inch sections being flat on the back. And the thing I like to do to kind of get them ready is put it down and fold it each way, so that the page, the folds are kind of getting used to going both directions, because if you think about your pages in a book are going to kind of go back and forth, so they need to be able to fold both directions. Okay, and once you get that done, then we're going to put some adhesive to glue this inside the cover. And what I like to do is put a little bit of red line tape on each side, and then I'm going to add some tacky glue as well. And that just gives me an instant grab, but the tacky glue will then soak in and give you a really strong bond. So burnish this down as good as you can. It's kind of hard to do because it's not flat, but do the best you can do. And then let me bring my cover back in. And we're going to take this and we're going to glue it down into the cover right in the center. So you want it centered top to bottom and side to side, and as straight as possible, because if it's curved, you know, if it's like that, then your pages are going to go this way. So you want it nice and straight. So let's get this. And the tacky glue on the red liner tape will give you a little bit of wiggle time to make sure you get it in there right. And you just want to, again, make sure that it's nice and straight and centered, and then burnish it down. And you can just kind of get your finger or a bone folder in between each page and rub it down really good. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we're going to get that to dry in a minute. While that's drying, the red liner tape kind of holds it, but you want to give that tacky glue a chance to set up. So while that's drying, we're going to, first we want to bend these covers up. We want to make sure that we got a nice bend in there. And the easiest way to do it is to take something like a ruler or some sort of a flat or an edge and put in there while you're bending. And don't push too hard because you don't want to rip that paper, but you want to give it a nice crease. And then once you do that, then it'll bend. Otherwise, watch, if you try to bend it without that, sometimes the paper here will come this way, come up. So just give it something nice and crisp to bend on. And now, as you can see, that's going to bend. It's all good. So we're going to go ahead and decorate our cover while I'm waiting for those pages to, the spine to dry. And I did some ink blending with a stencil and my water reactive inks, and just created a nice kind of a water pattern. And they're slightly different, but they're the same inks. It's just this one's got more yellow in it, and this one's got more green to it. So, and then I made one for the spine. So these are going to go on the outside on the cover. So here's one for the cover. go back to my Kalalo purpose. And that cover was 6.5 by 6.5. So these the decorative pages that I cut are 6.25 by 6.25, and that gives me a nice white border, but it essentially covers up that whole front cover. Looks pretty. And then we've got one for the spine, for the outside of the spine. And one for the back. Okay, there you go. I guess that could be the front, whichever. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to use this as the front because I've got a, and then I've got a little, no, I'm going to use this one. I like that one better. So this is actually a pattern that I pulled off of Creative Fabrica, the design, and I printed it. This is actually the waist. I printed it onto a with my LaserJet printer onto, so with toner, black toner, and then I used Decafoil to foil the and then this is the waist of the foil, and I just took a toner sheet, you know, sheet of all black, and I used the waist on top of it, and that's what you get. So, and I'm just going to put that right on the front cover for decoration. If you haven't used the toner sheets, or if you have a laser printer that, or you know, to print stuff, and then use the Decafoil, it basically, you put Decafoil onto anything you printed on a laser printer or cut out of a toner sheet, a die cut out of a toner sheet, run it through a laminator, and it foils and it sticks like that. It's fun to use because you don't have to use foil dies or anything. It's any pattern that you can print onto with a laser printer onto white cardstock. Okay, so that's my cover done. My spine is done. Now I just have to attach some pages to the inside. Now what I did is, to start with, is I just cut 6 by 6 white paper. Now you can go ahead and attach, and I have decorative paper that I'm going to put on top of the white pages. But I like to put the white paper on first and then put the other paper on top, just because I think it makes the pages stronger to have essentially 4 layers, because I'm going to sandwich 2 sheets of, one sheet, you know, the paper on each side. So to create the pages, I have 2 sheets of paper, and this is a relatively lightweight. It's like a 65-pound cardstock, so it's fairly, you know, it's what the UK would call paper as opposed to cardstock. And here in the US, they call it cardstock, but it's like 65-pound weight, so it's fairly lightweight. And you're going to sandwich each of these little tabs between 2 pieces of 6 by 6 paper with some glue, and that's going to create your page. So let me start, and I find it easiest to do this way. And I start with tacky glue, and I just put tacky glue on the edge of the tab. Just start at the top of the tab, put a bead of tacky glue down, and kind of smooth it around. And put one of your, and this is 6 by 6, so it doesn't matter which way you put it on, but you want it even on these sides, on each side, and then to be able to, you need to be able to lay the page flat. So get it on there, you can lay it flat, especially on this first one, kind of press it down, but make sure that it's good and straight when it's on there. Because if you don't get the first page straight, you're not going to get anything else ready. So when you lay it down, kind of look at it and make sure that it's fairly straight. And this isn't too bad. That looks pretty good right there. Now, once you get that first one on, you're going to want to take a bead of tacky glue on this side, and then you can use all-purpose glue or tacky glue, whichever you want, but you're just going to do a light bit of glue all the way around. And you're going to put that second piece of paper on, and you got to make sure and line it up so that the corners are all lined up and it's square, and then press it down along that tab. Okay, just like that. That looks pretty good. It's in there straight. Okay, now let's go to the next one. So again, we're going to put a little bead of tacky glue right across that tab. Just going to smear it around. Then put the paper on, get it straight side to side. And then what I usually have found is if you raise up that other page, you can make sure that it's lined up, because you want it to be, each page to be straight with the prior. So before it grabs too sticky, make sure that those pages, I don't know if you can see that, but that those pages are completely straight. And then you can put the back page on. And they get a little more difficult on the inside ones because you can't really easily lay them flat. And I'm going to use a little bit of tacky glue on the tab. And I'm going to use some collal all-purpose glue across the top. And the reason I'm doing that is because the tacky glue can cause it's water-based, and it can cause your paper to warp, especially this lightweight paper. So the collal glue doesn't cause that warping of the paper up here, but the tacky glue down there gives you some instant grab and the strength. So the combination is what I've found to be best. And the hardest part is just getting the right level of pressure across that tab all the way across. Get those pages completely lined up, and then again, make sure, constantly pull the other pages up to make sure they're straight. And then you just keep going. All right, so once you're done gluing your pages in, all there is left to do is to decorate. And I just glued this paper is from the 6x6 Crafter's Companion Sarah's Signature Tropical Collection, and I just glued on my 6x6 paper. And then these I actually printed off my computer, so for journaling pages. And then I'm going to let the people that receive the album decorate it, so that's all the decoration I'm going to do. But as you can see, it's a nice 6x6 album. And we're all done. But it's that hardcover makes it a really nice giftable album. Yeah, hope you enjoyed that. If you make your own, make sure you share pictures because I'd love to see them. Thanks. Have a nice day. Bye.